Captain Steve. This is the Barnelfish Express. All right, let's get into the Hivemind's never-before-seen footage and see how much drivel and poppycock it's filled with.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left.
And I'm doing my part to expose the abundant hypocrisy of the right. I gotta say, I appreciated the meme from the last video that I did. Mexican Jeffries is actually kind of funny.
Most people have been looking at the most popular clips that have been circulating online and immediately jumping to conclusions, mostly partisan conclusions.
Yes, we all did jump to partisan conclusions, but how did that work out?
But I'm personally really not interested in that, and what I'm going to keep doing is analyzing all the different factors, analyzing all the different
clips, plural.
So I got some really interesting theories and clips to show you guys here. Let's continue analyzing from all different angles.
Analyzing.
The most wild theory yet, which
very interesting.
Sure is credible. We got some stuff to get into.
Let's see where this goes.
So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we've got an X post here. This is from the account Finance Lancelot.
Yeah, I do not know who Finance Lancelot is.
And he says it's clear now what happened. The ICE agent, I believe it's a CBP agent.
Also just learned that it wasn't necessarily ICE, but it was Customs and Border Patrol. Though I believe they report to the same people, not expecting much or better than your standard ICE agent, especially given what's happened. But that's just my opinion.
Had disarmed the suspect who appeared to be nonviolent. At 35 seconds, the CBP agent accidentally discharged the suspect's weapon, prompting the other officers to open fire. Complete lack of communication once the suspect was disarmed.
I have heard that. Definitely a lack of communication.
Now, I'm not going to be able to play the full clip because obviously we got to avoid the graphic content, but we can play at the 35-second time mark, and then I'll explain the theory.
Okay, so videos plural, analysis boils down to we can't play but a few seconds of this video that shows exactly what I need to show you to convince you that I am speaking the truth. Gotcha.
So you see at this moment, he takes the weapon out of the suspect's holster and then appears to kind of like whip his arm around. And what these people are theorizing is that as he was doing this motion, the suspect's firearm had an accidental discharge.
I can understand that.
Surrounding, of course, already identifying that the individual was armed, then react to that alleged shot, instinctively, of course, and fire on the suspect.
Also agree with him on that. God, this is weird.
And now this theory, let's just say I'm not exactly buying it. I know a lot of people are in the comments section saying that this particular 9mm pistol is known for misfiring, but just analyzing visually, it doesn't seem like the gun fired. I also don't see any bullet impact on the concrete.
I do have to say, if the gun did accidentally fire, you would see a hole in the ground. There should be a huge thing of dust,
as the weapon was aimed directly down on the road, so I'm not buying this one. I think it's probably more likely that one of the CBP agents involved here, as all the chaos was going on about this individual having a firearm,
Wait a minute now, chaos that he had a firearm? The chaos started before they even saw the firearm, and back to my point from the original video, they actually would have de-escalated the situation and not started a bunch of shit and jumped the guy. None of this would have happened. We wouldn't be speculating on who, what, when, where, why, and how. Possibly somebody thought they saw something and felt a certain way.
Shot defensively, perceiving a threat based on the suspect's movement, and then after that first shot rang, the rest simply followed instinctively. And now, of course, we have to analyze the rationale. The next question that arises is, what was the officer's intent? If you listen to the left, they're quick to paint the CBP officer as an evil Gestapo stormtrooper.
That actually kind of makes me laugh. The visual's hilarious. God, I can hope I can find a meme about that.
And it was a simple execution, a murder. The protester was on the ground. He posed no threat. He was unarmed, and all the agents knew it, and he just decided to execute him. Now, this, of course, I think is completely bogus. First off, the notion that he was an unarmed, innocent man that was simply lying down on the ground. This is obvious nonsense.
I would say that he's innocent, and, technically after they pulled the gun, he was unarmed. Yes, communication was exceptionally poor. I also think the initial reaction of the agents was way over the top for what this is. But let's continue.
We've seen multiple angles of the video.
But you're not showing multiple angles.
Fighting with these officers, and at one point,
pretty sure he's protecting himself from getting his shit kicked in.
So from the officer's standpoint, you can very easily conclude that they thought he was armed, and they were simply reacting to his movement. That's my perception, at least.
Well, that has to be your perception, because you run a channel that caters to right-wing rage bait. And if you didn't cater to that, you'd lose viewers and you would lose money. Can't have that, can we? Gotta make that buck.
And I think it's backed up here. I don't think you could make the argument that they were shooting a person that they knew was unarmed, especially not when you see new video footage like this. This just dropped.
What the hell is this video supposed to show that supports anything you've just said? They're fucking with a corpse on the ground while trying to chase everybody else away. All this proves is that, in fact, yes, they did fucking kill his ass in the street. Really, what does this prove? Of your argument, what does this prove?
Now, this of course proves a couple things. The left is hyperfixated on the fact that they were searching for a weapon, but it wasn't on him, and therefore he was unarmed, and that makes this an unjustified shooting. I'm not going to argue that he didn't have the weapon on him, and you even hear the officer who disarmed the individual speaking aloud at the back where he says, "I have the gun." The left wants to focus on that, but I'm actually viewing this from a different angle. That basically shows the officer intent. This wasn't a public execution. This isn't Donald Trump's Nazi Gestapo force murdering dissenters and peaceful protesters.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that they're assholes that just execute the guy in the street for funsies, but I will say they're highly untrained, incapable, inculpable, and basically JD Vance has told them that they're above the law and they're immune. It's like, why would they have to be proactive in something like de-escalation to prevent people from getting killed and preventing officers from getting injured?
They were under the impression that he was armed and that he was going for the gun, and in that heightened threat situation, one officer felt compelled to act. There was obviously a perception of threat here.
And you can't do that. Previously, you stated that they didn't know he was armed, but now after the fact, you're telling people that he was armed, or they thought he was armed, which is why they did what they did. It's like, you can't retroactively do that. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Now, whether it was 100% the proper assessment in that hectic situation, that's a different conversation to be had with 2020 vision, but there was obviously a physical threat here. There was resistance, confusion, and it was all revolving around that firearm.
He has to say this to fit his version of the story and his version of the narrative. I don't believe it, because one officer had already pulled his gun before anybody even saw Alex's holstered weapon and disarmed him. So yeah, after being beaten, kicked, pepper sprayed, screamed at to do God knows what, the guy may have been a little bit disoriented. Then he was disarmed. I don't see how this justifies him getting shot.
Kristi Noem seems to back that up.
Secretary
Yes. You just made
Kristi Noem is a bootlicking ass kisser.
That is no claim.
I mean, she doesn't even believe her bullshit. She's stuttering.
This individual showed up to a law enforcement operation with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition.
And what does that have to do with anything? You're allowed to depend on your license, and the Second Amendment in this country says you're allowed to. It's an open space. There were no restrictions.
By a governor who's irresponsible and has a long history of corruption and lying.
Of course, now it's political, governor's fault.
Officers take an oath. They get up every single day and they go out to protect the public.
Absolutely, and she isn't wrong.
Can't be wrong, because if she was wrong, you would lose money.
Especially relating to this individual showing up armed. First of all, I'm seeing a lot of people point to the fact that, he's a licensed firearm owner. Well, I don't think that's the cop-out that Democrats think it is.
It's not necessarily a cop-out. He was licensed to carry.
First of all, if you're licensed to carry, it's actually stated in law that you're supposed to have a certain identification on you while carrying that weapon.
Oh my God, and he didn't have it on him. That is absolutely a good reason to fucking kill somebody. Comply or die.
This is the law in Minnesota.
Please, everybody, read along.
Minnesota requires a permit to carry a pistol to carry a handgun, open or concealed in public. Both are legal with permit. The permit is a physical card issued by the county sheriff. You must have your permit card with you when carrying a firearm. But this individual showed up with a weapon with 2 packed magazines, and as we understand, according to the feds, he had no identification on him. This is not just an innocent bystander carrying a weapon. This is a person who is following the Antifa playbook.
Okay, hold on. I gotta look up what the Antifa playbook is. Oh.
Of showing up to these riots, not bringing identification, while concealing a firearm and getting in a physical confrontation as he attempts to obstruct federal officers. And of course, like I mentioned in the last video, the first thing you are trained to do as a
Okay, pay attention to this, because it's not like I haven't watched this video already. Look what he's highlighted. Pay attention to what he's trying to pull off, but also pay attention to where he actually stops reading.
Again, you raise your hand and say, I have a weapon. I'm not to conceal.
Display the permit and identification upon lawful demand by a peace officer, as identified in section 626.84. Oh, and it's a petty misdemeanor. Didn't know petty misdemeanors carry the steep fine of death. Oh God, the fine is $25. I think you could argue that this guy died over a $25 ticket.
Fundamentally, this individual did everything wrong. So you have a person who engaged in what appears to be multiple crimes, multiple felonies.
Again, you have to
Everything in
twist
his
words,
power to
you have
create a
to muddy the
situation that was
water,
perceived
you
as
have
rigorous
to
from
spin the
mainstream
narrative
media,
to fit
and
your
we're
side of the
simply
story
supposed
to
ignore
prove what
all
you're
of it
trying to
and just
grift.
run with what the Democrat
Horseshit and
narrative
just
is right now.
blatantly
This was a
dishonest.
public execution? I'm sorry, but that is absurd. You know, it may not be the perfect use of lethal force, but the perception, I think, is clear here. The gun was taken at the same time as the first shot was fired. There was a perception that this individual was a threat. He was fighting with them. He was
Again,
armed.
they were dogpiling on him.
It appeared
The
as
6 or
though
7
he was
people that I've
searching
seen in
for
the one
something
video,
or attempting to grab
kicking his shit
something.
in.
His hands were moving all over the place, which
I
is
don't know
the
about you,
reason why you're
but
supposed
I
to
would at
during
least
traffic
try and
stop
protect
rest
myself
the
from
steering
getting my
wheel.
shit
You
kicked
don't
in.
want to create that perception.
And I asked, like I did in the last video, what is your line between self-defense and resisting arrest?
The agents, after he was shot, they're all saying, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" That basically confirms that they didn't know that he was disarmed. These are the facts as we know them.
Again, what have you shown that would convince most average people that are watching this video that the officers thought he was armed? You previously said that they didn't know he was armed. You can't have it both ways. Like I said before, that is bullshit.
Get the green light to take to the streets and further cause chaos, and of course, ultimately to do the Democrats' bidding. I mean, look at this Tim Wall post. He says, "I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. The president must end this operation, pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers out of Minnesota now. They're setting a narrative without the facts because it's purely political."
Was this gaslighting? Was this a straw man? What is this? I gotta look it up.
Without federal oversight, without having to enforce and obey federal law, they want to continue enabling, pushing their illegal immigration agenda.
The Hivemind's perception, I believe, is so far off that it's almost unbelievable that he truly believes this.
To stop the federal government from enforcing immigration law. They want to protect their little illegal immigration racket that's going on here.
I hope he explains what the racket is, because I have no idea.
It's as clear as day.
It's as clear as orange mud.
The shooting aren't, but the Democrat intent, it's purely clear. Anyways,
Only clear to you because, and I will repeat, you have an audience to pander to. Alrighty. I think with that, I am going to call this one done. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. I'll see you at the dock.